2 years ago my wife walked out on me while I was recovering from a construction accident, and now she wants back into my life like nothing happened. I've been lurking on this sub for months, reading everyone's stories about relationships gone wrong. Never thought I'd be posting my own, but here we are. I guess I need to get this off my chest, and maybe some of you have been through something similar. My name's Rishi, I'm 38, and I work as a senior safety inspector for construction projects around Mumbai. Good job, decent pay, respected in my field. Been married to Rashmi for 8 years, no kids yet but we were trying. Thought we had a solid marriage, you know? The kind where you support each other through thick and thin. Man, was I wrong about that last part. It started 2 years ago. I was doing a routine inspection at a high-rise project in Bandra when a scaffolding gave way. 15-foot fall onto concrete. Broke my right leg in 3 places, cracked 2 ribs, and had a nasty head injury that kept me unconscious for 4 days. The doctors said I was lucky to be alive. When I woke up, Rashmi was there crying. She held my hand and said all the right things. How scared she was, how she couldn't lose me, how we'd get through this together. I believed every word. The doctors told us recovery would take at least 6 months, maybe longer. No work, limited mobility, lots of physical therapy. The first month wasn't too bad. Rashmi took leave from her teaching job to help me. She'd drive me to appointments, help me shower, cook my meals. Her parents, Suresh uncle and Anita auntie, would visit almost daily with food and encouragement. My own parents live in Pune, but they came up every weekend. Everyone was supportive. But by the second month, I started noticing changes. Rashmi seemed irritated all the time. She'd snap at me for small things like asking for water or needing help getting dressed. When I'd thank her for something, she'd just nod without looking at me. The warmth was gone. I figured she was stressed. Taking care of someone recovering from major injuries isn't easy, especially when you're used to your independence. I tried to be understanding, told her to take breaks, suggested we hire a nurse for a few hours each day. She said we couldn't afford it, which wasn't true. My company insurance was covering everything, plus I had savings. By month 3, things got really weird. She'd disappear for hours without explanation. Just running errands, she'd say when I asked. But errands don't take 5 hours, and they don't require you to dress up like you're going somewhere special. I started noticing she was always on her phone, texting someone and smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at me in weeks. The breaking point came during month 4. I was finally able to walk short distances with crutches, feeling hopeful about my recovery. The physiotherapist said I was ahead of schedule. I wanted to celebrate, maybe order dinner from our favorite restaurant. When I suggested it to Rashmi, she just stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "Rishi," she said, sitting down across from me in our living room. "I can't do this anymore." I thought she meant the caretaking. I quickly said we could definitely hire someone now, that I was getting better every day, that soon I'd be back to normal. She shook her head. "No, I mean us. This marriage. I can't do it anymore." The room felt like it was spinning. "What are you talking about? I know this has been hard, but I'm getting better. Things will go back to normal soon." "That's just it," she said, not even looking at me. "I don't want normal anymore. I want to be happy, Rishi. I want to live my life, not spend it taking care of someone." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Taking care of someone? "Rashmi, I'm your husband. You took vows. In sickness and in health, remember." She finally looked at me then, and there was something cold in her eyes I'd never seen before. "Those were just words, Rishi. I was 26 when we got married. I didn't know what I was promising." That's when she told me she'd been seeing someone else. A colleague from her school named Rohit. They'd grown close over the past few months, and she realized she deserved to be with someone who could give her the life she wanted. Someone who wasn't broken. Broken. That word hit harder than the concrete I'd fallen onto. She moved out that same day. Just packed her clothes and some personal items while I sat there in shock, unable to process what was happening. Her parents came to help her pack, and Suresh uncle wouldn't even look at me. Anita auntie mumbled something about, "These things happen for a reason," and avoided eye contact too. My parents drove up from Pune as soon as I called them. My mother cried more than I did. My father, usually a man of few words, said some things about Rashmi that I won't repeat here, but let's just say he wasn't impressed with her character. The next few months were the darkest period of my life, not just because of the physical recovery, but because I was dealing with the emotional devastation at the same time. Some days I didn't know which hurt more, my broken leg or my broken heart. My company was amazing through all of this. My supervisor, Sumit, visited regularly and assured me my job would be waiting when I was ready. They even sent a company counselor to help me deal with the trauma of the accident and the divorce proceedings that followed. Yes, divorce proceedings. Rashmi wanted out fast, and honestly, so did I. I couldn't imagine being married to someone who'd abandon me when I needed them most. The paperwork was straightforward since we didn't have kids and I wasn't seeking any support from her. She took her jewelry and some furniture. I kept the apartment and everything else. The recovery took longer than expected because of the stress. My doctor said emotional trauma can significantly slow physical healing, and he wasn't wrong. What should have been a 6-month recovery stretched to almost 10 months. But I had good people around me. My parents stayed for 2 months until I could manage on my own. My colleagues visited regularly. My neighbor, Mrs. Sharma, an elderly widow, would bring me homemade food and sit with me when the loneliness got too overwhelming. Slowly, very slowly, I started rebuilding my life. Physical therapy became less about healing and more about getting stronger than I'd been before the accident. I threw myself into fitness once I was cleared for proper exercise. Started reading more, picked up cooking as a hobby since I had to take care of myself anyway. By month 8, I was back at work part-time. By month 10, I was fully recovered and back to my old routine. Better than my old routine, actually. I was in better shape, more confident, and had a clearer sense of what I wanted in life. The divorce was finalized almost exactly 1 year after the accident. I felt relief more than sadness, like closing a painful chapter and being ready to start fresh. I threw myself into work and personal growth. Got promoted to regional safety supervisor, which meant better pay and more responsibility. Started traveling for work again, which I'd missed. Made some new friends through a hiking group I joined once my leg was fully healed. Even went on a few dates, though nothing serious. I wasn't ready for that yet. Life was good. Not perfect, but good. Peaceful. I was learning to enjoy my own company again and building the kind of life I actually wanted, not just the life I thought I should want. Then, 3 months ago, everything changed. I was at a mall in Andheri, just browsing electronics after work, when I heard someone call my name. I turned around and there was Rashmi, looking exactly the same except maybe a little tired around the eyes. Rishi. Oh my God, you look amazing. So healthy and fit. I managed a polite hello and started to walk away, but she followed me. Wait, can we talk? Just for a few minutes? There's so much I want to tell you. Against my better judgment, I agreed to sit with her at the food court. She bought us both coffee like we were old friends catching up. You really do look wonderful, she said again. The accident, it changed you. Made you stronger. I didn't respond to that. What was I supposed to say? Thanks for leaving me when I was at my lowest so I could discover my inner strength? She started talking about her life. How things with Rohit hadn't worked out the way she expected. How he turned out to be controlling and demanding. How she realized she'd made a huge mistake. I was scared, Rishi, she said. When I saw you in that hospital bed, all broken and helpless, I panicked. I thought about my mother, how she spent 20 years taking care of my father after his stroke, and I just couldn't face that kind of life. I listened without saying much. She went on about how she'd grown up, how the experience taught her what really mattered, how she realized that love meant supporting each other through difficult times. I know I hurt you terribly, she said, reaching across the table like she wanted to touch my hand. I pulled it back. But I also know that the man sitting in front of me now is stronger and better because of what he went through. Maybe everything happened for a reason. That phrase again. Everything happens for a reason. The same thing her mother had said when she was packing to leave. She asked if we could meet again. Talk more. See if there was any way to rebuild what we'd had. I told her I'd think about it, which was a lie. I already knew my answer, but I needed time to process seeing her again and hearing her justifications for what she'd done. That night, I called my father. Told him about running into Rashmi and what she'd said. Beta, he said, a person's character is revealed in crisis, not in comfort. You learned who she really is when you needed her most. Don't forget that lesson. My mother got on the phone too. Some people think love is a feeling that comes and goes, she said. But real love is a choice you make every day, especially on the hard days. She chose to leave. Remember that. Over the next week, Rashmi texted me several times. Sweet messages about how good it was to see me, how she'd been thinking about our conversation, how she hoped we could meet again soon. I didn't reply to any of them. 2 weeks after that first encounter, she showed up at my apartment building. The security guard called up to ask if I wanted to see her. I almost said no, but I realized I needed to have a proper conversation to close this chapter once and for all. She came up looking nervous but hopeful. I made tea, and we sat in the same living room where she'd told me she was leaving 2 years earlier. "I know you probably hate me," she started. "I don't hate you, Rashmi," I said, which was true. "But I don't trust you either." She nodded like she expected that. Then she launched into what sounded like a prepared speech about how sorry she was, how she'd changed, how she wanted to make things right between us. "I've been seeing a therapist," she said. "Working on my issues with commitment and fear. I understand now why I reacted the way I did, and I know I can be better." I let her talk. She spoke for almost an hour, covering everything from her childhood fears to her regrets about leaving to her hopes for our future. She cried a little. It all sounded very sincere. When she finished, I was quiet for a long moment. "Rashmi," I finally said, "do you remember what you called me the day you left?" She looked confused. "You said I was broken. That you deserved to be with someone who wasn't broken." Her face went pale. "I was scared and stupid. I didn't mean it the way it sounded." "Maybe. But you also said the vows we took were just words. That you didn't know what you were promising when you married me." She started to interrupt, but I held up my hand. "The thing is, I agree with you about that. You didn't know what you were promising. But I did. When I said, in sickness and in health, I meant it. When I promised to support you through good times and bad, I meant that too." I paused, trying to find the right words. "You want to know what I learned during my recovery? I learned that I'm stronger than I thought, yes. But I also learned what kind of partner I want to be and what kind of partner I need. I need someone who chooses to stay when things get difficult. Someone who sees challenges as something we face together, not something that makes me a burden." Rashmi was crying now, but I continued. "You're asking me to forget what happened and try again. But what happens the next time life gets hard? What happens if I get sick again, or if we face some other crisis? How do I trust that you won't panic and run away again?" "I've changed," she whispered. "I swear to you, I've changed." "Maybe you have. But I've changed too. And the person I am now knows that he deserves better than someone who only wants to be with him during the easy times." She left that day with tears in her eyes, but I felt nothing but relief. It was like finally letting go of a weight I didn't even realize I'd still been carrying. The next few weeks were interesting. Her parents called my parents, trying to get them to talk sense into me. My mother-in-law actually had the nerve to suggest that I was being too proud and should think about giving Rashmi another chance. My mother's response was epic. She told Anita Auntie exactly what she thought about a family that raises daughters who abandon their husbands in times of need. I heard later that Anita Auntie didn't speak to anyone for a week after that conversation. Rashmi tried a few more times. Flowers delivered to my office with notes about second chances. A surprise visit to my building that I refused. Even getting mutual friends to reach out and tell me how sorry she was. But here's the thing about going through something like what I went through. It gives you absolute clarity about what matters. And what mattered to me was building a life with someone who would stick around when things got tough. Last month, I met someone. Her name is Kavya. She's a doctor at the same hospital where I was treated after my accident. We connected through a mutual friend and have been on several dates. She's kind, intelligent, and when I told her my story, her response was, "I can't imagine abandoning someone I loved when they needed me most." That's when I knew I'd found someone worth getting to know better. Rashmi found out about Kavya somehow, mutual friends or social media, I'm not sure. She sent me a long message about how I was making a mistake, how we belonged together, how she was willing to wait until I came to my senses. I blocked her number after that. I'm not sharing this story to bash my ex-wife or to get sympathy. I'm sharing it because I want other people going through something similar to know that you can survive betrayal and come out stronger. You can rebuild your life and find happiness again. But more importantly, I want people to understand that forgiveness doesn't mean you have to let someone back into your life. I've forgiven Rashmi for leaving me when I needed her most. I don't carry anger about it anymore. But forgiving someone and trusting them again are two completely different things. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt, and that's okay. Sometimes the lesson isn't about learning to trust again. Sometimes it's about learning to value yourself enough to walk away from people who don't value you. My accident was one of the worst things that ever happened to me. But losing Rushmi during my recovery turned out to be one of the best. It showed me who I really am and what I'm capable of surviving. It taught me that I'd rather be alone than be with someone who sees me as a burden during difficult times. And now, 2 years later, I'm not alone anymore. I'm with someone who chose me not despite my scars, but because of the strength they represent. Sometimes the person who breaks your heart does you the biggest favor of your life by showing you that you deserve better than what they were willing to give. Update 1, posted 2 weeks later. A lot of you have been asking for updates, and honestly, I didn't expect this post to get the response it did. Thank you for all the support and shared stories. It's amazing how many people have been through similar situations. Things with Kavya are going really well. We've been taking things slow, which feels right after everything I went through. She's incredibly understanding about my past and never makes me feel like I need to rush into anything. We have great conversations, similar values, and she makes me laugh in a way I hadn't in years. Last weekend, we went hiking together, something I never would have been able to do before my accident forced me to get in shape. There's something poetic about that, I think. The thing that broke me also made me stronger and led me to activities where I could meet someone like her. As for Rushmi, she's finally stopped trying to contact me. My building security tells me she came by one more time about a week ago but left when they said I wasn't available to see her. I heard through mutual friends that she's been telling people I'm bitter and holding grudges. That made me laugh, actually. There's nothing bitter about choosing to surround yourself with people who value you. There's nothing grudge-holding about learning from experience and protecting yourself from future hurt. One thing several commenters mentioned was whether I felt bad for not giving her a second chance. I want to address that because I think it's important. I don't feel bad at all. Here's why. Marriage isn't a practice run. When you make those vows, you're promising to be there for the worst moments, not just the best ones. She had her chance to be the partner I needed when I was at my lowest point, and she chose to leave instead. Now she wants back in because she sees that I've recovered and become stronger. But that's not love. That's opportunism. Real love would have been staying to help me become stronger, not leaving and then wanting to benefit from the strength I developed on my own. Someone in the comments asked if I thought people could change. Of course they can. But change has to be demonstrated over time, not just claimed in conversations. And even if someone changes, that doesn't mean you're obligated to give them access to your life again. I've changed too. I've become someone who knows his worth and won't settle for conditional love. Update 2. Posted 1 month later. More developments to share with you all. First, the good news. Kavya and I made things official. She's amazing, and I'm genuinely happy in a way I'm not sure I ever was during my marriage to Rushmi. We complement each other well, and there's an ease to our relationship that I now realize was missing from my previous marriage. We were at her hospital's annual function last week when something interesting happened. Rushmi showed up. Turns out she knows someone who works there and got herself invited. I spotted her across the room during dinner, and she was clearly looking for me. Kavya noticed my reaction immediately. "That's her, isn't it?" she said. I'd shown her photos when I first told her my story. "Yes, but ignore her. Let's just enjoy the evening." But Rushmi didn't make that easy. During the social hour after dinner, she approached our table. I stood up instinctively, putting myself slightly between her and Kavya. "Hello, Rishi," she said, trying to sound casual. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Right. Pure coincidence." "Rushmi," I replied. "This is Kavya." "Kavya, this is Rushmi." Kavya stood and extended her hand politely. "Nice to meet you." Rushmi shook it but looked her up and down in a way that made me immediately uncomfortable. "So you're the rebound," she said with a fake smile. The audacity was breathtaking. Before I could say anything, Kavya responded with the kind of calm confidence that made me fall for her in the first place. Actually, I prefer to think of myself as the upgrade. I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. Rushmi's face went red. "Rishi and I have history," Rushmi said, as if that meant something. "Yes," Kavya replied. "He told me all about it. How you left him when he was recovering from his accident. That must have been a difficult decision for you." The way she said it wasn't accusatory, just matter of fact. But it was devastating because it forced Rashmi to either defend the indefensible or admit she was wrong. Rashmi looked at me. "Can we talk privately?" "No," I said. "Anything you want to say, you can say in front of Kavya." "Fine. I want you to know that I've been offered a transfer to Bangalore. I'm thinking of taking it. This is probably your last chance to reconsider." I actually laughed at that. Last chance? "Rashmi, you're not doing me a favor by leaving. You're doing yourself one." She looked shocked that I wasn't panicking at the prospect of her moving away. "You're really going to throw away 8 years of marriage for someone you've known for a few months?" That's when Kavya surprised me by answering. "He's not throwing away anything," she said. "You already threw it away when you walked out on him. He's just refusing to pick up the pieces and pretend they weren't broken." Rashmi stared at her for a moment, then looked back at me. "You've changed, Rishi. You're not the man I married." "You're right," I said. "I'm better." She left after that, and several people who'd overheard the exchange came over to congratulate me on my eloquent girlfriend. Kavya was definitely the hit of the evening. Later, when we were alone, I thanked her for handling that so well. "I hope I wasn't too harsh," she said. "But I couldn't let her talk to you like that." That's when I knew I was falling in love with her. Not just because she defended me, but because she did it with such grace and intelligence. As for Rashmi taking the transfer to Bangalore, I hope she does. A fresh start in a new city might be exactly what she needs to move on with her life instead of fixating on a past that she chose to destroy. Update 3, posted 3 months later. I've been getting messages asking for another update, so here we are. A lot has happened since my last post. Rashmi did take the transfer to Bangalore. I know because her parents called my parents to let them know, as if we should all be devastated by this news. My mother's response was something like, "Good for her. Maybe she'll find someone there who doesn't mind being abandoned during medical emergencies." My mom has zero chill, and I love her for it. Kavya and I have been talking about moving in together. We've been dating for almost 6 months now, and it feels natural to take that next step. She's been staying over at my place most weekends anyway, and we work well as a team in all the small, daily ways that matter. I've also been seeing a therapist, which several of you suggested in your comments. I thought I was handling everything fine on my own, but therapy has helped me process some things I didn't even realize I was carrying around. Mainly trust issues and some lingering guilt about not fighting harder to save my marriage. My therapist helped me understand that I couldn't have saved something that Rashmi was determined to destroy. She also helped me see that my quick recovery and ability to move forward wasn't a sign that I didn't care about my marriage. It was a sign that I'd been ready to leave for a while without admitting it to myself. Looking back now, I can see that there were problems in my marriage long before the accident. I was just so focused on being a good provider and husband that I ignored the signs that Rashmi wasn't happy. But here's the thing, that doesn't excuse what she did. Being unhappy in a marriage means you work on it together or you have an honest conversation about ending it. It doesn't mean you wait for your spouse to be at their most vulnerable and then abandon them. The therapy has also helped me understand why I was attracted to Kavya so quickly. It wasn't just that she was kind and beautiful, it was that she possessed all the qualities of partnership that I'd been missing without realizing it. She's someone who instinctively thinks in terms of we instead of me, who sees challenges as things to face together rather than reasons to run away. Last week, something happened that really drove this home. Kavya came down with a nasty case of food poisoning that lasted 3 days. She was miserable, couldn't keep anything down, dehydrated, weak. I took care of her the whole time, bringing her soup, making sure she stayed hydrated, sitting with her even when she was too sick to talk. On the second day, when she was feeling slightly better, she looked at me and said, "Thank you for not leaving me when I'm disgusting and pathetic." She meant it as a joke, but it hit me hard because I realized that's exactly what Rashmi would have expected. For me to find her sickness burdensome or unattractive. The idea that someone would leave their partner for being sick or vulnerable was so foreign to Kavya that she could only make a joke about it. That's the difference between someone who understands love as a partnership versus someone who sees it as entertainment. But the biggest update is this: I'm planning to propose to Kavya. I know some of you might think it's too soon, that I should wait longer after my divorce. But here's what I've learned: when you know, you know. And I know that Kavya is the partner I want for the rest of my life. I'm not rushing into this because I'm lonely or desperate to be married again. I'm choosing this because I found someone who makes me want to be the best version of myself, someone who I trust completely, someone who would never dream of abandoning me when I needed her most. I've already talked to both sets of parents. Kavia's parents adore me, which is a nice change from the lukewarm acceptance I got from Rashmi's family. They've told me multiple times how happy I make their daughter and how grateful they are that she found someone who treats her well. My parents are thrilled. My mother actually cried when I told her I was planning to propose. "Beta," she said, "this is how it's supposed to feel. Easy and right and like coming home." She's right. Being with Kavya feels like coming home. I'm planning to propose next month during a weekend trip to Goa. Nothing too elaborate, just the two of us on the beach at sunset. She's not a fan of big public displays, and neither am I. It'll be simple and perfect, just like our relationship. I never thought I'd be grateful for my accident, but in a weird way, I am. It showed me who Rashmi really was before I wasted more years with her. It forced me to become stronger and more independent. It led me to activities and social circles where I could meet someone like Kavya. Most importantly, it taught me the difference between someone who loves you conditionally and someone who loves you completely. So that's my update. A year ago, I was a broken man whose wife had abandoned him. Now I'm about to propose to an incredible woman who sees my scars as proof of my strength rather than signs of my weakness. Life has a funny way of working out sometimes. Final update, posted 6 months later. This will be my last update on this story, and I think it's a good one to end on. Kavya said yes. The proposal went perfectly. We were on Palolem Beach at sunset, just the two of us, and when I got down on one knee, she started laughing and crying at the same time. Her exact words were, "Yes, of course, you wonderful man. I was wondering when you were going to ask. We're planning a small wedding for next spring. Nothing too big, just close family and friends." After everything I went through with Rashmi, the idea of a huge celebration feels wrong. This feels more intimate and genuine, which suits both of us better. The engagement has brought some interesting reactions from people. Most of our friends and family are thrilled. A few people have made comments about how quickly I moved on, but I've stopped caring what people think about my timeline. I know the difference between rebounding and finding real love. Interestingly, I heard through mutual friends that Rashmi is engaged too, to someone she met in Bangalore. I genuinely hope she's happy and that she's learned how to be a better partner. Everyone deserves love, even people who hurt you. But here's the thing I want to share with everyone who's been following this story. I don't think about Rashmi anymore. Not in anger, not in sadness, not in regret. She's become completely irrelevant to my life, which is exactly how it should be. 4 months after she left, and even after I met Kavya, I still carried some anger about what happened. Some hurt about being abandoned when I was vulnerable. Some questions about what I could have done differently. All of that is gone now. It wasn't a conscious decision to let it go. It just naturally faded as my life filled up with better things. With real love, real partnership, real happiness. That's the thing about moving on properly. You don't have to force yourself to stop caring.